Aloha, Senator Wakai. Thank you for joining us today in Transform Hawaii Government's Digital Talk Story series.
Thanks for inviting me. It's so good to be here with you, Christine.
It's nice to have you. It's always good talking with you. And what this is, it's a short 10-minute interview that I have with leaders in government to talk about goings-ons with the legislature. The legislative session ended in July. Any priorities that kind of came out around digital government. What are some of your priorities and perspectives related to that, especially coming out of the pandemic? So I'll be asking you some general questions.
Okay, look forward to it.
Okay. The first question is, how has COVID-19 impacted the delivery of government services in your perspective?
It has moved people from being in line to being online. We have to be better, faster, and sometimes cheaper. We saw the biggest areas where we moved the public into the online arena is education and healthcare. All of a sudden, like in the past, in-person was the only way we learned. Now it's like, what? Online learning, what is that about? And we had to learn what that was about really, really quickly. And we're still learning today. And on the healthcare side, the fact is that hospitals are full of folks that have some struggles with the virus, and
yes,
you take your risk by going into a healthcare facility. So why not be in the comfort of your home to go visit with your doctor? Tourism is based on, our economy is based on tourism. We put up a safe travels app, something that we never had to deal with in the past, right? In addition to checking through TSA in your bags, now we got to check on your health before you get on a plane. So the world dramatically changed in the past year.
Well, thank you for that, Senator. And I love the tagline of inline. We've moved from inline to online. That's a great tagline and a great reflection of how fast as a community we were able to pivot from the way we did business in the past and going into the offices, going into state departments to get services to doing it online. And so it is a reflection of how fast we could change when we put our minds to it.
Yeah, so, and it made it so much easier, right? No more traffic. I don't have to deal with parking anymore. I just flip on the computer and voila, I'm meeting my doctor, meeting my teacher, meeting whoever I have to meet. But I think there was a level of comfort that people had to get over, right? When we're to in-person interactions, and then now talking to a camera, depersonalizes the life experiences, but certainly has its benefits, which is efficiency and quickness of time in doing things.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. And with all of the successes and the pivots that we've had, coming through the pandemic that we continue to face, what are some of the biggest hurdles to, that you've realized and observed? What are some of the biggest hurdles to modernizing government services? We were able to access some, and then there are some other challenges, lessons learned.
Well, the biggest and most basic hurdle is infrastructure, right? We have our mobile device and we expect it to work, whether we're going and ordering food online or watching a movie, we expect it to work. And it's not just magic, right? It's not just, it comes out of poof out of the air. Government has to provide the basic infrastructure for our new daily needs. And that infrastructure is not cheap. And so we're looking at how do we improve our antiquated broadband capacity here. Many of our cable lines, the fiber in which all of our Wi-Fi lives depend on, is 20 years old in many cases here in the state. We need to change that out and build in what's called cable landing sites, then do broadband deployment, which is the terrestrial part. Once you bring the fiber online, somehow you got to get it to your house. And that's what people kind of take for granted, but it's so basic to the lives that we're going to lead. And although we see the ease of access and life now, in the future, it's going to get even more important. There's going to be drones that are going to deliver our packages instead of an Amazon guy going ton, 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 right? We're going to have autonomous vehicles. All of those iterations that are for the future have to be prepared for now. So government really has to get its act together to create an infrastructure that is going to drive our community in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And Transform Hawaii government, as you know, is a big supporter of that and has been a big supporter of that as we turn the corner to the second half of 2021. and then head into the legislative session in 2022. Are there related to government infrastructure, are there priorities that are emerging that you feel have surfaced to the top that we can address as a community and that the public can get behind?
Well, when you talk about infrastructure, it's not sexy, right? Roads, bridges, it doesn't get people excited, but we should be excited because broadband is now a basic need. It's not a nice to have, right? It's as important as sewer and water and electricity delivery to your home. And I'm super thrilled that on the federal level, they're seeing this, and we have like $1 trillion coming soon, and maybe $3.5 billion later. And within those infrastructure bills is specific money for broadband, something we've never seen in the past, right? When Americans think about broadband, you just think about roads, airports, harbors, that's infrastructure. But broadband has become part of, as a society, what we see as a basic necessity. So it's good to see that the federal government is leading the charge on the state level. We appropriated $10 million this past legislative session for more cable landing sites. There's all kinds of energy. You and I are both part of a broadband hui that talks about how we deliver just after we get the basic infrastructure, how do we deliver it to people, and particularly those who are from disadvantaged communities that may not have the financial wherewithal to have the Wi-Fi, to have the devices that are necessities for living in the 21st century.
Yes, definitely. And what advice would you have for those that are involved in broadband? You know, there's a lot of broadband funding coming down from the federal government in different packages that go to different departments that really try to target the needs of the universe of broadband and digital equity. What advice would you give the broadband hui in the community in terms of just how do we get organized around the needs for broadband and digital equity in Hawaii? Well,
it's great that everyone has joined forces, but we have to have priorities. And, you know, some 50 people in a room and they all think that theirs is the most important, and then they undermine each other. And I don't want to see that happen. So we have a good group of people that are discussing how to deploy, but I hope that we have to come up with priorities. We can't pay for everything right out of the gates. And so I'm hoping that we don't have this feeding frenzy where people kind of undercut each other, and that we realize that there are certain issues like healthcare, education, maybe top priorities. And then if you're in some economic development space, that you might be lower on the priority, but don't go and take digs at the education and healthcare folks that really need it yesterday.
Yeah, thank you for that. I guess as the next question that I have for you is, how would you like to see the community support, you know, the need for infrastructure within government? Like you said, it's not sexy, but it's critical. And we realize how important and how critical it is when there's a pandemic and we have to really depend on government for services. And so what is some advice that you have for the public to get involved or to get updated on the importance of government modernization moving forward?
For me, government just has to get back to basics. What are the core government services? And I think public health and security is probably government's #1 priority, whether it's making sure that Kim Jong-un doesn't take us down, or making sure that we're prepared for hurricanes, or sure that people aren't criminalizing us. I mean, public safety is, I think, government's #1 priority. But after that, I think it's just that the basic infrastructure that we need to run our daily lives. So it's great to see that government has certainly recognized the importance of broadband, and the community should not just take it for granted. That's the thing, right? In Hawaii or elsewhere, we just take everything for granted, that the roads are there, that the lights work, that the water runs. But the moment those things don't, I mean, we just saw in Hawaii Kai, they didn't have water for a whole bunch of people. And that's a miserable situation to have. And we can never allow broadband to go down because of our dependency upon that infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely. And we meaning Transform Hawaii government, continues to look forward to working with you in the legislature as well as the administration, and how can we make infrastructure sexy and support its journey towards modernization moving forward, so we help to build a resilient government, and also that serves a resilient community. So thank you for leading the charge on that and for your support on that.
Yeah, let's make broadband sexy. That's the new theme for 2020.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time. And so I guess the last question that I have for you, Senator, is just a personal one. Is we're in the summer, we're kind of coming to the close of summer. What do you do for fun when you're not at the legislature and you're not helping us solve the, the broadband challenges that we have? What do you like to do for fun?
Pre-COVID, I love to travel. I mean, I live to travel. I do my work, and I carve out little pieces of time, and I go and check out everything, going everywhere from Sri Lanka to Turkey to France,
Wow.
Indonesia. I love seeing how other people live their lives, see the good in their lives, and like, wow, Hawaii needs to catch up, or see how lucky that we are that we live in America and this beautiful paradise.
Yeah, it's nothing like getting outside of your home to help you appreciate what you have and all the blessings that you have. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your time, Senator. We're gonna close our speaker series now, and really look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And keep up the good work, Christine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.